Hello, my darling. How are you? I hope you're having the most wonderful start to your week, the best middle of your week, or the most productive ending to your week, wherever it is that you find yourself watching this. My name is Sabrina Militello. I am a coach and founder of Empower Her Coaching, and here we are with another episode of our Coaching Corner here on YouTube. And I'm going to talk today really from outrage. From outrage, because I read a report, and it's a report that actually came out last year, but I dove into it this week, and it has kind of fueled a lot of the content that I've created this week, because the data that it presented really pulled me up short. It was something that made me think and made me just feel as if it was something that we needed to speak on at length, at least through my lens. And I come to you with the lens of being a life and performance coach. I'm here truly to arm you with the tools, the resources, but also with the belief that anything that you want for your life is available to you. You simply have to get out of the way. There's an incredible book, and I wasn't going to share this, but it just came to my mind, written by Brianna West, I think is how you pronounce her last name. It's called The Mountain is You. The Mountain is You. And it's basically about how we as human beings are the single greatest obstacle in our own lives. And if you are anything like I used to be, you just heard that and you're like, that's outrageous. What about the government? What about my husband? What about my financial situation? What about the socioeconomic environment? What about the hate, the vitriol, the division that I'm dealing with? Those are the obstacles. And while I'm not going to deny that any of those things are obstacles, I come from a very restricted background. I won't go deeply into my story, but if you've been here for a hot second, you've heard it multiple times. But I come from a place where lack was the story. Lack was the outcome. Lack was the only path available. I didn't come from an environment that told me that I could have anything. I didn't come from an environment where I was shown or told a lot of loving, comforting things. I didn't come from a place where the best version of myself was called up. That just was not my story. That was not where I came from. And yet I have this foundational, ingrained belief that anything that I want is available to me, because I understand that I am the single greatest obstacle. How I think, what I perceive to be true, what I choose to focus my energy and attention on, what decisions I make, who I give my power away to. These are all things that I choose. And they're also all things that you choose. So in this conversation today, where I'm going to talk about why burnout happens in high-performing women, I'm going to also share with you what I think the data, the report missed. And the report was from McKinsey, and was talking about how burnout in women is like, there's more women in the workplace basically who are saying that they don't want to advance their careers. They're not interested in promotion. They don't want to take their career to the next level. But here's the thing that I don't think the data points talked about enough. And it's the thing that really skews that headline. Because I read that headline and I was like, hold up, this is so the opposite of what I believe to be true for myself, for sure, but two, from thousands of hours spent in coaching conversations with women who are on the ladder of their career, either building and growing, expanding and scaling their own businesses, or elevating to upper management and C-suite positions in their career. Like, this did not jive with what I'm seeing as reality. Obviously, I know that my perception is a little bit skewed because these are the kinds of women that I spend a lot of time with. So it's easy to say, no. women, like professional women, want to go all the way. I understand that that isn't true because, like I said, I work with high-performing women, high-achieving women, women who are on that career track. But what the data didn't spend enough time talking about was that women who are kind of no longer interested, to paraphrase, in advancing their careers, they felt that way because they were being denied access to the tools, resources, mentorships, and opportunities that would give them the confidence, but then the skill set to advance their careers in comparison to their male counterparts. So this is the thing that we need to talk about, because women in these kind of corporate environments, they're burning out not because of the structural load on them. That's not the full story. It's not just the structural load that is the cost. It's the cost of running an identity that makes their worth inextricably linked with their output. That's what's causing the burnout and the apathy and this seeming lack of interest in their career advancement. It's burnout not just due to the workload, the structural load of their day-to-day, but also due to the fact that they're carrying identities where their worth and their output are linked. So let's talk about those two things separately, right? The structural load that causes burnout. I shared the data point from the McKinsey study that women are, they're getting the raw end of the deal, basically, in not having programming that is directed towards female advancement in the workplace, not having access to mentorships at the same scale that their male counterparts are. It was really both two ends of the spectrum in terms of where they were coming in at their career, where there was these big disparity. One was at entry level women in the corporate environment are not given mentorship opportunities or skill set development opportunities. And then at the other end of the scale, women getting like an upper management wanting to elevate to C-suite kind of opportunities were, again, not given mentorship opportunities or the kind of conversations and feedback loops and all of that would put them in a position to step into the next stage of their career. So it's really hitting women from both ends. And the reason why that is causing burnout is because they're working so hard and seeing themselves disproportionately held back compared to some of the males in their environment. And we're not blind, right? We can see what's happening. And so it's really important to understand that burnout occurs not just because you've got a lot on your plate. It also occurs because it feels like with the amount that you have on your plate, more progress should be being made. Can you see that? Maybe you can recognize this in yourself, where you've gone through a period of your life where it feels like you're just going and going and going, and you're running and you're sprinting, and everything is being thrown at you, and you're dodging all the curveballs and you're dodging all the obstacles, and you're going full tilt. And at the end of every week, it's kind of like, what did I even accomplish this week? What has actually moved forward on my project list? What has actually been cleared off of my plate? And it just feels like you're on this hamster wheel. So no matter how much rest you get on a weekend, no matter how much you try and get away from it all on a vacation, no matter how much me time or downtime you schedule, you never feel rested or revitalized or rejuvenated, because it just feels like it's constantly coming at you. That's the structural load that I'm talking about. So high achieving women, high performing women in entry level positions, as well as in upper management, they're feeling this structural load because all the effort they're putting in is not having the ultimate result that they're seeking because they're seeing others getting promoted or recognized above them. So that's one part of the conversation, right? Is that piece, the structural load part. The other part of the conversation, like I said, is the identity part, where identity has been fused to output. And again, if you're anything like me, you recognize the truth of this for yourself. For me, I had a foundational belief. One of the stories that I grew up believing, based on what I saw in my environment, as well as what I was told by the people that were supposed to be taking care of me, was I'm not enough. I don't get chosen, and I'm not enough. I don't get chosen, and there's another one I can't think of. There's three. You're not enough. You don't get chosen. Anyway, that's how much these foundational stories play a role in my day-to-day now. There is hope. There's hope. Working on yourself, working on your relationship with yourself, working on freeing yourself from some of these old stories and old beliefs and old ways of being. It is possible to free yourself from that if you do the work. And I think that's a perfect example that one of my 3 foundational stories, I can't even remember what it is anymore because they don't have this hold on my life in the way they once did. That's big. And that's just a big realization that I just have for myself right now in this moment. And I've got chills and it feels really freaking good. Like I could cry knowing that's just what's happened. So going back to my point, two of my foundational stories, you don't matter. That was the other one. You don't matter, you don't belong, and you don't get chosen. You don't matter, you're not enough, and you don't get chosen. Those were my 3, right? So with those foundational stories, I have been proving my worth, trying to prove that I matter, trying to prove that I'm enough, trying to prove myself so that I can be chosen, based on what I do. That has been how I've run my life, right? Based on what I do. So my worth has been tied to my output since I can remember, since I formulated any of these kinds of understandings, either consciously or unconsciously. I can pinpoint like around 15 years old, right? I'm 44 now, nearly 30 years. And I think it's really, really important to understand that those stories, those beliefs will run your life unless you can uncover them, see them for what they are, and then do the work to rewrite or completely dismantle them. So if you recognize that you do have one of those beliefs, one of those stories where your worth is tied to your output, then this is where we start to see the kind of burnout that we're seeing in professional women right now. Is they're not getting promoted, they're not getting the opportunities to advance because those opportunities just are not being made available to them. They're seeing their counterparts, mostly male, being promoted in front of them. And because their identity is fused with their output, they burn out trying to prove themselves in what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. And when that work is not being recognized, it's like an attack on their sense of self. The nervous system literally comes under attack when that is happening, especially when that's happening for you on a daily basis. You may have a boss that is really like nitpicks at everything, never has anything positive to say, or if it is something positive, it's in a very throwaway kind of way that you have to like have a telescope out to actually see it and recognize it for a positive piece of feedback. They may nitpick at everything. Maybe they think they're coming at it from a good place. They want you to grow. They want to make sure that you're on the same page, you're doing your job in exactly the way they need you to be doing it. But if your worth is tied to your performance, how do you think that's going to go? That relationship, how do you think that's going to work for you? That's you being on the road to burnout just from a daily interaction with your superior, right? So I really want you to understand that it's so important that we look at the potential fix. And the potential fix obviously is working on yourself. All those things that I said about working on your relationship with yourself, working on how you can better that, how you can shift away from identity and worth being fused or output being fused. But it's important to understand that when you fix that structural load part, the feeling of constantly going, and having nothing to show for it, then you're gonna start to heal some of that identity part too. And what I mean by that is, once you understand that what you do and who you are, the value you bring, they're not two sides of the same coin. They're not actually like part of the same story. Then the identity piece starts to shift, doesn't it? You start to recognize the great things about yourself irrespective of your output. You start to recognize the really valuable things about who you are as a human irrespective of your performance. And that's huge, especially for mothers. If you are a woman who's in a professional setting and is a parent, or even if you're not in a professional setting, you're a parent, your worth being tied to what you do for everybody else is a disaster waiting to happen. And I know that you can see that. We can all see that by looking back on our generational line, right? You can see where your mother put herself out and sacrificed her well-being and sacrificed her joy and her, whatever she wanted to do for her life to take care of you, to take care of your siblings, to take care of your father, maybe. Maybe you can see it happen where it happened in your grandmother. Maybe you've heard stories of it happening in your great-grandmother. Like, we can look back on our generational line and see the proof of exactly what we're talking about and how it played out for them. And we have to be in a place now where we decide to break that cycle. Your worth, what you do for other people, are not the same thing. Your value as a human and what you can achieve are not the same thing. And I think it's really important that we start to get underneath what some of these data points and some of these reports are telling us, rather than looking at the headline and immediately casting some kind of aspersion of, oh yeah, women, like, they want everything, but they don't want to be promoted. They don't actually want their careers to go to the next level. They don't, everyone keeps saying the girl boss era is dead and this is proof of it. No, that's not what's happening. What's happening is women are getting burned out because no matter what they do, they're not getting rewarded in the same way as their male counterparts are, as we can still see from the fact that women don't earn the same amount of money, on the dollar as males do in that same position. So anyone who has an argument against that's a fact that can be corroborated. But then also, so much of our worth and our value is tied to what we do, how we perform, what we achieve, that burnout is the inevitable end to this story. So I've got my notes here, and let me just refer to this because I just want to make sure that I leave you with something really tangible to do about this, because I know that this is a struggle for so many of you that are watching. So what changes when you stop trying to earn your place and start leading from a sense of self that already knows her place? What changes when you can do that is the feeling of constantly being on that hamster wheel will start to die away. You suddenly start to feel as if, yes, I am making progress. Yes, I'm doing the things. Yes, this happened and this happened. I can see the wins. I can see the progress that's been made. I can see the things that I'm achieving and the things that I can clock up and celebrate. You can start to see more of those things because you don't have that tunnel vision of just not enough, right? So I really present that to you as a way of being for you from here on out, because this isn't a homework assignment that I can give you that I usually do, where I'm like, journal on this and then come up with X, Y, and Z plan. This is not something that you can journal away. Identity work is not something that you can come to for a day, hashtag nail it, and then not be bothered by it for the rest of your existence. That's not how this works. Identity work is grueling. It's re-triggering. It's challenging in the best ways, because it really forces you to get to the bottom of why you believe certain things about yourself, your capability, the quality of your life, what is available to you, and start to challenge those beliefs and rewrite a new future for yourself. So I really want you to maybe ask yourself that question. What could be possible? What would change if I stopped trying to earn my place and started operating as the woman who knows her worth already? Maybe that's a question that you can journal on, or you can ponder on. You can create like a vision board around. You can, if you're artistic, you can draw what she looks like. What changes when you stop operating to earn your place and start operating, start walking, start talking, start being the woman who already knows her place, already knows her worth, already knows her value, already knows that she is the vibe, right? What could be different for you? And that's the work, is to start to lean into that identity, if that's what you want, more. And then when you see these kinds of data points, these kinds of reports, don't take them just at face value based on the headline or based on the top finding. Get curious, become a detective around what's actually going on when we hear these things. Because I think it does women more harm than good to just take the headline, to be clickbaited into believing something that is just not the whole story. Does that make sense? I really hope that you can do that for yourself, because identity and performance, they've been fused for a long time. For me, decades. Like I said, nearly 30 years. Identity and performance have been one. The only way that that's going to change is if you do the work to change it. That's it. That's the bottom line. So many people ask me all the time that they say to me, Sabrina, how did you do X? How did you lose the weight? How did you heal your marriage? How did you start all those businesses? How did you get this role that you're in now? How? I can promise you that none of that could happen if I wasn't willing to tear my belief system open and start to dismantle and then rebuild belief systems that actually served the life that I wanted to lead. So it's going to take work. It's going to take intention. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie about that, but it's work worth doing, because everything that you want for your life is on the other side of the work, right? Is on the other side of that coin. So to recap, no amount of rest is going to fix the burnout that you're experiencing if it's based off of either the structural load, because you can see that no matter how hard you work, it's not amounting to anything, or the other piece of the equation where your identity is fused to your output, your worth and your output are fused as one. And the work that needs to be done to heal either of those two stories that you're creating, so that you can start to see where progress can be made, where progress is being made, so you can start to re-find that fire that you have for your career and the ambition that you have. No amount of rest is going to fix it. It's this deep work that you're going to have to do, because I know that you still have that ambition. I know that you still have that fire in your heart for the life that you want to live, the work that you want to do, how you want to serve, how you want to contribute. I know you have that, the world has just gotten noisy and is starting to drown out that inner knowing that is screaming at you to keep going. And that's what it's going to take. I hope this served you. We went around the houses a little bit because my rage was simmering underneath the surface. But I really hope that the message was clear. The guidance is something that you can lean into. The advice is something that you can really take on so that you can live the quality of life that you want to live. Until next time, my darling, take care.